Um, hey, thanks for joining. And this is the first call of the year. Just wanted to touch base. We've been doing so much stuff over the last 6 weeks that we haven't been talking about. It's a lot of what are we building next? What are our priorities? So I figured it was time to share a little bit around that with the founders. So I have a few things to share. I know we've talked about, I've been talking, if you've looked at some of the posts on the home screen,
Hmm.
about group scenarios, right? We've been talking about how to, let me see what I've got here. I don't really have app stuff, but I talked a bit about there's scenarios for groups. We want to look at teams and how do you use this
Hmm.
with groups now? How can agile coaches use it with their people, or maybe consultants, or maybe trainers? So there's been a bunch of posts lately, and Jurgen has been running these workshops, and he used Mind Settlers. There's like an old visual from Mind Settlers on the tablet. He used it in the workshops, and we're also prototyping how to use it after the workshops, get people on a platform to actually take action and make that visible. So I thought I would talk about that first. Right now, we figure there's so many ways people can use the app collaboratively in groups, right?
Hmm.
And we probably need to focus. We probably need to really focus on, there's so much in our app, right? We have so many pieces in there, but how do we really make sure people get value quickly? So we figured training, workshops, training, agile coaches in a business, or as a consultant, or like Jurgen, this kind of a scenario where he has a workshop that he's providing. This is all about learning. Our goal is really to get people to develop their agile mindsets, to build
Hmm.
innovation from the bottom up. Well, people are already they're already doing that through professional development learning, right? So let's solve some of the problems around that. We figured supporting people after they've acquired knowledge and helping them as they apply it, that's already aligned with what the platform is for, right? We have our
Hmm.
adventure tracks, and we have our actionable practices. So the idea is, and this isn't a very interesting screen to look at, but the idea is, yeah, it's not an interesting screen to look at. Um, the idea is that you could get them into Mind Settlers and set up a team. We have teams. I don't know if you've found the teams function. You can set up, if you go in your
No.
profile, you can set up a group, right? It's pretty basic right now, but you know what? I can also just share my app and
Okay.
from my phone, and
Well,
let me
I
do
have
that. Oh, you have it. Great. Good, good, good.
you are on the same screen and I will
Yeah,
get rid of interruptions or
sweet.
actions.
Let me find Zoom, which should be on my home screen, but it's not. Okay. I'll connect my phone right now while I'm talking. But the
Okay.
idea is you could have actionable ideas, practices for people to do, maybe pre-training, during training, or post-training. And then also, why not have a track like an actionable gamified action plan, or give them some options on how to start experimenting with
Hmm.
what they've learned, right?
So
So we
interesting.
figure, and I love this concept we've been talking about it for ages. The one I love is the idea that, oh, you have an agile improvement initiative in the company, and why don't you give people a little bit of freedom, give them some options, give them some freedom on how do they experiment with that, right? So same kind of concept. All right, now let me join a meeting and just show this to you. And this is going to be interesting because the app sometimes takes a little while to load. We'll see
No
how this
worry.
goes. Oh, there we go. Share my screen.
Oh, that's nice. And you can do that with Zoom? Never seen that
Yeah,
before.
just
It's
install
nice.
Zoom and you've got it. So great. Let's go to the home screen and open up Mindsettlers. So that I think that concept makes sense. That we give you a space to use with a group, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I'll just go there now to my profile. And if I come down, you'll see there's teams here.
Oh, okay, yes.
So I am part of many teams. I invited people to add me to teams, so I have some cool named teams here. I'm not sure who this is. Oh, Silvio, I think. Oh, no, I'm not sure who. In any case,
Yeah.
right now you can see the activity stream of what people have done. You have your people in a team. So what we want to add is shared collections that are private. So I would say privacy levels, right? You need to have a space that's not all the community. For example, collections, here's where we already have that in here. We have collections where you can create a group of some information that you want to have around a topic. So the idea is let's combine those. Why don't you set up sort of a resource collection for your people?
Mm-hmm.
You have a team space, and then the third part we need to add is a little more interaction. Right now, you have some visibility of what people are doing, but you can't communicate necessarily, right? You can't communicate with people in the app.
Mm-hmm. That's good. It's interesting. I never, yeah, I have the feeling, and I don't know if there are a lot of other options that I've never seen or I've never been aware that they were already implemented, like these teams or collections. Probably it's because I've not spent enough time exploring what was possible in the app.
Well, I don't think it's your fault. I think it's our fault, right? Like it's there, and we have a little bit of onboarding, but we've really been focused on the finding ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just get you to information that's valuable, right?
Yeah.
When you come into any of these items, you can add it to a collection. But we haven't really, I don't think it's you, it's us that we haven't trained people on what they can do. And we know our app is really complex. You know, there's heaps of stuff you can do in here. So I think that's why the idea of narrowing it down to sort of a training scenario or supporting people's learning and turning that into action. If we focus on that as the group collaboration type thing we want to support, I think it makes sense for a lot of the people that are in the platform.
Yes, because for instance, coming back to teams, you can create a team which is private. No one else can see that. And then you can share content within the team and
So
everyone can share.
Right now, you have it.
Yeah,
right now,
sorry.
you can't share content with that team specifically. Yeah, so that still needs to be built. That's where we want to go, but you can't do that yet. So you can set up a team, you can see what people are doing, but you would have to do everything outside of the app if you wanted to. Like that collection that I just showed you, you could share that to them. You can share it as a link. Everything's available on the web, but we need to build that out. We were very focused on, hey, we need to get it working for an individual. We don't want to, if we have to depend on multiple people interacting, that's more complicated. What do we need to build so that an individual gets value just on their own?
Okay.
Right? And I don't think we've optimized that. Let's be honest, we haven't optimized it yet. Finding ideas, like just getting you to ideas, is where we've really been trying to make it better, where you can, if you search for things or if you use the tags, you can customize the tags so that you get to the ideas that matter for you in the, that's this My Selection space where you can choose what you're interested in and then just have that view that narrows it down to your stuff.
Okay, so based on the tags you have selected, then you are prompted or you are shown the contents that more or less match to that.
That's right. We're trying to get you, make it easier for you to see the stuff that you care about and filter out the stuff you don't. That's what this is about. And then we also have some top, retrospectives, games. There's a few topics we have in here too, but
yeah, it's definitely super interesting. And actually, I think these teams options that you were showing me would be interesting for me also. I'll soon have two teams with known or almost no know-how on the agile practices, and it will be, I think it's interesting. But the only question I have is if they would need to have also a subscription to the tool to be able to, I guess so, right? I mean, I guess there are no plans for teams yet, or not sure if it's in the backlog. Would they need to pay individual subscription to be able to get there, right?
Mm-hmm. So there's two things to say in answer to that. Right now, we still have the 19 euros a month pay. We have the paid version, and that's for us to really see if the value is there for individuals, right? That's why we ask for money, to see if it's valuable. Right now, we're looking for people who want to experiment with teams and groups. I have, for example, an agile coach who wants to put some collections together for some new Scrum Masters. They're opening new offices. They have new Scrum Masters. And he's willing to put content into our app and test that. So we're going to get those people in. We're going to formalize that as sort of an experiment to see what a focus group, if you will, so that we can make it free is what I want to say. If we can define it as an experiment, if you want to put some work in and try it, we can make that free I want to define it well, and then I want to just get feedback from all those people on what they think about it. So we can do it so there's no cost to them if need be. Yeah.
But it would be only experimentally. I mean, being that in the end, the goal is to make a payment, a regular payment, or I mean, I'm not just asking. I want to ask for anything, just to get the information.
Okay, so we actually we've been doing so much in terms of where are we going, what's the vision for this, and we're talking about a free level now. So it would just depend. I don't know. It depends on where things go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's yet to be decided, I guess.
Yeah. Even we've had a couple people say, "What's the corporate rate? Is there a corporate rate if we have 10 people, 20 people? Thinking. Let's just pay an annual fee or a monthly fee and handle it that way rather than have individuals paying." So that we can do now. We can do that now. We can sort out.
Yeah, because that would be my case. For instance, I work for an international global consulting company.
Mm-hmm.
When Jürgen was writing about if global consulting companies can really help with the agile transformation, I'm actually trying to share it provocatively internally to the network of the company, because it's a case. It's 150,000 employees consulting company, so it's a huge one. And I guess that if there is value in the tool, that I think that we are getting that point where there is actually a lot of value. I think they would probably be interested to pay a yearly, monthly, what you were saying, rate for that tool, for this tool.
Yeah, I think so. So we've seen coaches that want to, upskill new people, give them a collection, start them off with something, right? We've also seen groups of agile coaches, sort of peer groups, where they're like, we want to share best practices. We want to get all our coaches putting, the great things they're doing so the stuff can be shared, because wikis don't really work, and we have meetings, but then everyone who missed the meeting doesn't know about what they did. So there's a lot there that could be done.
Okay. And sorry if I'm asking questions that are not meant to be asked in this call.
No, this is great. This is wonderful. It's even better to have it this way rather than me directing things.
Okay,
so
sorry.
No, don't say sorry at all. So what else did I want to share? Yes, I wanted to also share the parts we think we need for the team collaboration, supporting people as they learn, supporting them to, upskill, whether it's using stuff in the app or having a face-to-face or virtual training that you put together and then supporting them taking action. We do see the need to get content into, make it easy for example, you have some ideas you want to share out. We've built an author portal, if you will. Good. So you can, instead of sending docs or, you can get in here, create your content, and it would publish under your profile. If you can publish here, it shows up as what we call a private or a personal practice or track. So it's not going to be showing up in search results for everybody. The idea is you can put in stuff that you just want to give to one person or a team. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be sort of showcased to the whole community. It's semi-private, if you will. It's semi-private.
Yeah, I mean, I understand as well that if you wanted to publish something for everyone, that would also be possible. I mean, I guess. I mean, yes. I understand that the meaning and the usage of having it for you or for someone you share it with. Mm-hmm. But I guess it will be also a way to share content with everyone if that was the case.
Oh, yes. That's already possible. So, and everything is available online, right? Everything, it's not easily found online unless you know where you're going.
Okay.
But when you publish something, it will show up in the app and it will show up online. So here, for example, these are all the activities that Jürgen created for his workshops. Mm-hmm. So in the workshop, he sends that they have the app on a tablet and they come in here and they actually run these group activities using the app. And we can see it. Anyone can see it online, right? There's a web version. So this is where there is some accessibility for non-app users. Mm-hmm. The app is where you can say, I did this, and here's my comments about it. Here's my feedback. We don't have that online, but we do have the content itself for everything. Even the personal ones, they're going to be under your profile, right? If you go into, they won't be under, you might not have a brand name, but if you go into, Mark, you have one. We could probably look you up.
Yes.
You've got a
actually,
profile.
yes,
so if you've written anything, I don't know if you've found it online, but.
Should I do that, or can you look for my profile? I don't know how.
Yeah, that is the trick. The trick is getting to the profile. Have you published anything?
No.
Oh, you haven't. Okay.
No, but I wanted. So that's a good idea that I'm able to in an easy way.
Absolutely. Okay. So if you've published stuff, I can find you under like the community brand where Mm-hmm. But it's very hard. I would have to go look up your number. I would have to go look up your player number. So I'll send you a link to it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so that's where, so right now you could, if you had activities you wanted to share internally or best practices you wanted to share with the community, mm-hmm. that's absolutely doable.
Cool.
Yeah. So sharing collections, I think, is a huge thing on our list. Expanding out that team collaboration capability. And there's one other thing that we are looking at, which is how do we communicate on the platform? So let me show you this, which is a prototype, which is called Virtual. Oh, wait, it's on Agility Scale's website because it's a prototype. Let me get the right link here. Okay, so we have been theorizing around or talking about how do we want to, what kind of communication do we want? We don't want to be a Slack. We don't want another Slack.
Please, no.
Or discussion thread. And we're like, we need people to communicate, but once you set up discussion threads or IM, everything's lost again, right? They're talking about the great stuff they've done in there, and we're not going to be able to capture it. We're not going to be able to tag it. It's not going to live forever. What we really want is to capture, to make best practices visible and to make what people do with it visible, right? So how do we, people need to communicate in the app, but how do we do it in a way that's going to lead to practices and activities and capture the knowledge, capture the knowledge so that it can live on. So you're not just helping this one person now, but you can help people sustainably. Like, 2 years later, someone has the same problem, you can actually find what it is you did before, right? Which now that it happens all the time.
Absolutely.
People share their stuff on blogs or a LinkedIn post, and it's fantastic, but the thing is buried 3 months later. Nobody's going to see it unless it seriously got a lot of likes and shares. So we're thinking we'll do it in the form of a question, or we're going to have a little bit more of a formal request. Hey, I've got a question on how to do these activities, or I didn't like any of these options. How can I do this? Here's what I'm trying to do. So this is a page we set up for those workshop participants as a way to spark, hey, what are you trying to do once you get back to the office? Access Jürgen, and he will connect you to great answers that have a good chance of solving your problem. Okay, so this is like the marketing thing. And I think this, when it comes to, say, a workshop scenario or an external training scenario, this is sort of what we see as the reason someone might do it. I mean, how many of us have taken trainings and workshops where you rated a 5 and it's fantastic and we loved it, and then 6 months later you've done nothing, right? You've done nothing. You've changed nothing. You haven't changed anything.
2 weeks later, back to daily work.
Exactly. You come back. You had 2 days off, and now you're behind. And how do you never get enough thinking time to figure out what you're going to try? To incorporate. So we're hoping that people will be motivated to engage in a way where we say, okay, what are you trying to do? So we broke it into 3 parts, right? So how do I do something? What is the outcome? What is the outcome you're after? And then what's the context, right? What's the context? What kind of company are you in? What kind of constraints do you have? My boss hates this kind of stuff. How do I get around that? Whatever it might be. And then we're also trying to sort of tag it properly so that we know who can, where does it fit, and what kind of answer do you want? So this is an experiment. This is our first experiment to sort of look at, okay, first off, are people even going to bother filling out a request this way? It's a lot easier just to write 2 sentences in a discussion thread than to submit something like this, right? It is. This is good for us because we can capture all that context, and it's in preparation for us turning it into something that is going to be visible and can help others. But would people do it? Are they going to bother doing it is the question. So we're running experiments around that right now. And then the idea is that they get a practice or maybe a track as an answer, right? So the other big question is, what's going to cause, if you're a coach, that's also more work than just writing 3 sentences, putting in a title and some tags, and then 3 sentences and a link to what they should do. It can be quite quick, but it is going to be longer than just, writing back in a thread. It's a little more structured. The value, I think, for the coach is that now you have captured something that you could use again, right? That you can sort of add to your knowledge, evidence of your how you're helping people, perhaps. I think there's value there, but we'll see. And long term, we're thinking. So let's say we have Jürgen with his shift up workshops. You got a private group. People can say, hey, I'm stuck here. I need help here. He answers questions. Well, he's going to help all the other, that he's probably going to be able to use that again and again as more people take that workshop, and it's, been 6 months. He's really building his knowledge base. But the difference between this and just a help desk support knowledge base, right? Because hello, knowledge bases aren't new. The difference would be that one, it's in an actionable format. You can use it on the gamification adventure side. Like I'm still looking, we're sort of, gosh, we're covering so much ground. We're still sort of looking at that like, okay, well then why don't we just buy a knowledge base tool and slot that in, right? Why wouldn't you just do that? But we think it'll feed into the public knowledge as well, right? We're trying to work out the private public levels as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's our concept. We're testing out lots of parts of it. But I think I can safely say that shared collections are coming, and some of the fundamental pieces we need so that what you described, Mark, being able to provide resources to other people and then maybe help them coach them as they interact with them. That's something definitely that would be coming.
Good. Thanks for sharing it.
Sure thing. And then we also have one of the things that we really haven't talked about is practices. We have practices and guides in the app, right?
I have to interrupt you because I have to leave. I have a meeting and just at half
well,
past.
Mark, you take off.
Sorry,
and
apologize. And
not at all. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. And
how often do we have this? Like every 2
weeks?
weeks?
Every 2 weeks, I do.
All of them, or once per month?
I post the recordings every time, and I sort of summarize what it's about. So don't feel like you have to attend every one. If you see something that you're interested in, or if you have questions, please join. Yeah, perfect. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming.
Thanks a lot, Paula. Have a nice day ahead or afternoon.
Sure thing. Take care.
Goodbye.
Bye. All right, so.
Let's see if I can get out. No.
Cool. Great. I was going to say one more thing to the group, which is practices and guides. We are reformatting how they look. So it's going to be a lot easier to see them together. We've got a beautiful new format in the app and on the web so that practices, which is the what, and guides and activities, articles, which are the how do you do something, are sort of in one coherent format, right? So I will share screenshots with you of what that is going to look like. That's in development, and not sure when that will be released next week, maybe next week, the week after. So that's happening too. All right, so thank you very much. Thanks. Hope this was useful for you to listen. Get a little bit of a sense of what we're up to in terms of teams and collaboration. Appreciate any feedback that you have. And you know how to give it to us, I'm pretty sure, Slack or the app or email. Thanks again, and talk to you in a couple weeks. Bye.